Hi, humanity. Welcome back to another episode of Real Deals by Chloe. This is where humanity comes together to invest in yourself, mind, body, soul, and pocket. So today we're talking about Airbnb and the top tech tips to utilize in your Airbnb to make it work smarter, more efficiently, have more security during COVID, not just around COVID and all of that kind of stuff. It would be a shame if I didn't talk about tech because I work in prop tech. And so I see all of the top innovative products that come to market that really help for Airbnb, multifamilies, offices, distressed value add properties, and so forth. But I don't talk about tech a lot because it's boring, but I'm going to try to make it as fun as possible. But this video in particular is just tech tips for Airbnb. And I'm going to start with the most basic ones. I'm sure you know about these, but this is, if you don't know, if you're a beginner or you just want to make sure that you're up to date, you have to have these pieces of technology. So let's get started. The first thing that you need to have is keyless entry. Not only is that great for COVID, but also you can track the amount of entry and exit people that are going in. You can also see over your phone if the door is locked or not. And so there are a lot of products that are out there. It's as simple as going to Google. You can type in keyless door entries and you can see a bunch of different ones and what will work best for your door. There are square ones, there are circle ones, there are padless, there's ones with keys and pads. There are some that are just electronic, some that work off Wi-Fi, and others that work off of prepaid SIM cards. So you have to find the solution that works best for you. But the one that I've used quite a lot is the Schlag and the August. August is actually really well known and people really love that one. The third one I can recommend is Latch, but that is only if you have, I would recommend only if you have 20 units or above in the same property. So let's say when they have apartment building takeovers or pop-up hotels, those are the places that I would use the Latch one because it locks everything from back entry, front entry, elevators, and doors across the board. And every single time you have a new guest coming in, you just pick up your phone, you create a new code, and you send it to them. And so if you really wanted to lock someone out, you can. If there was issues around that you're able to manage that as well. Okay, now tip number 2. Basically, you want to make sure that you know who is in your property at all given times. This is for liability purposes, for insurance purposes, etc. So if you have somebody that books your place off of Airbnb, Verba, HomeAway, etc., and they say that it's only 3 people, and then you end up passing by your place and you see 10 cars outside. The last thing you want to happen is for there to be a party there. And if there's a party there, you want to know as soon as possible so you can make sure that you take the proper measures to either speak to the guests that you allowed to book or call the police in the case that you're going to need to break that party up. So how do you know if there is a party going on? So there is an app called Party Squasher. Party Squasher is amazing because what it does is it checks the logs of how many people have logged into the Wi-Fi at that said given location. So if there is over 10 logins and there are 10 devices utilizing that Wi-Fi, it's either a hackathon, which I don't think it would be, or it's a party. And if it's a party, then it's time to know sooner rather than later so you can mitigate as many risks as you can. Tip number 3, this tip works very well with Party Squasher, but it's called Noise Aware, and it's something that you put into every property. You get one piece that you plug in, and then you have a bunch of different devices that you can plug all around the house. It doesn't cost more, and it basically works off of the Wi-Fi and it checks the decibels in the house, and so it will alert you if the noise levels go up too high. So if the neighbors call the police on you, God forbid, or if something does happen, you actually have the data tracked on your phone and you're able to say, okay, it really didn't go up over a certain number of decibels, so it's not possible that they were that loud, or maybe it was like the TV was going on and if it was like, let's say in the living room and you could see that they were streaming a movie at that time. So you're also able to just like really stay in touch and stay on top of your property by maybe texting your guests and saying, hey, can you keep it down a little bit? Maybe this will also help alert you if there is a party going on or they suddenly decide to practice becoming a DJ. But this also could be very good in hindsight if you are doing lease arbitrage and you have to speak to the landlord or the owner after and say, listen, there really wasn't a party, this is what was going on. Or if you have to go to Airbnb and say, hey, there was a party, this is what I need for insurance purposes, blah, 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 to back up your case, you now have the data to back it up. So this is your proof, your receipt. It's called Noise Aware. There is also another one called Minute by Point, and what I like about that one is that it works indoor, outdoors, but it also does the following. It tracks movement, temperature, sound, humidity, mold, and pressure. What does that do? So A, it's a great way to take care of your home, even if, for example, you don't have guests in there, but you are out of town and the house is just sitting there by itself. It's a great way to see maybe there's a leak somewhere and there's mold building up, maybe there's pressure building up. Things of that nature is very important because you want to be able to make sure that your property doesn't deteriorate. You don't want it to depreciate while you're away from it if you're not actively taking care of it, maybe during the winter months, summer months, etc. But what it also helps in terms of working alongside Party Squasher and Noise Aware is that if you have people moving outside, it will automatically turn the lights on and off. So it saves you with electricity bills, but at the same time, you also could see and track people's movement. Not that you're sitting there tracking them, but first of all, disclosure, anything that is tracking indoors has to be disclosed on the listing, but that only has to do with cameras. It does not have anything to do with movement or sound. So you don't have to report that because it's not recording the actual conversations. It's just listening into the sound waves. So it kind of works like just a radio frequency wave. So in that case, you do not have to disclose that on your Airbnb listing, but you do have to make sure that you disclose it if you're doing anything else. Like if you have a camera inside, maybe like facing one of your locked closets in the master bedroom or anything of that nature, you have to disclose that in your listing. Quick break, everybody. I just wanted to say, please, if you like this video, subscribe below because I'm going to make 2 other videos about the tech that you can utilize in your Airbnb. One, to make your Airbnb a smart Airbnb. Number 2 is going to be on how to use technology to help make your Airbnb more COVID friendly. These are going to be very important videos. They're all going to be short and quick and to the point. If you don't know anything about Airbnb, I am doing a 1-day masterclass on March 7th. It's $36. It's basically the cost of lunch and a couple of Starbucks coffees. We are going to be sitting together and we're going to be learning on how to launch your Airbnb A through Z. I will walk you through all the technology. We even will go through the back end together. We'll get you set up across the CRMs, learning how to locate properties, lease arbitrage, how to design, how to stand out, how to get listings and bookings during COVID. And I also host a weekly free Clubhouse Q&A that we can always jump on and talk about Airbnb and everything that we can do to continue learning and growing. But I also do talk about real estate investing in general, not just Airbnb, although Airbnb is my favorite because it's the most cash flow. It's not just an appreciation play. So I'll get back into that later, but please subscribe below because that shows me that you're interested and I'll keep making more content for you. All right, tip number 4 for a must-have tech in your Airbnb property is a smart thermostat. A smart thermostat is able to be managed by your phone, by the guest, and by yourself. And so what you're able to do is cap the temperature at a certain level if you want to make sure that they're not going to blast the heat or the AC. It's not just about energy costs, it's also about energy efficiency. There's just no need for that, especially if they're not in the house or in that room. So what you can do is you can keep the temperatures at a certain place in between guests, and then while the guests are in there, you can cap it. But what you could also do is you can see if there's nobody in the room, that the temperature automatically will go back to a set point. So let's say in the summer times, it could be at 72, it's not too hot, not too cold, and you're able to keep it at that set point. You're able to measure what the temperature, efficiency, and expenditure is up and down. And it's like just a really great way to just manage it from your phone. You can also turn on the air conditioner right before your guests arrive so they can arrive to a nice, cool, beautiful place as opposed to coming in and it's super hot and they have to turn the air on. This is just a really great way to be in charge of your property remotely as possible. I hope you like this video. Thank you so much for watching and stay tuned for the next video on how to make your Airbnb a smart Airbnb.